We got ourselves a boisterous crowd today. Must be a special day. I wonder, my friends, if you will join me in our call to worship as we get this Palm Sunday service a-rolling. We gather together in this sacred space,
joyful as our palm branches fan the air in praise,
filling this space with peace,
waiting with expectation to meet Jesus anew, eager for a healing touch, a blessing received.
We gather together in this sacred space,
joyful as our palm branches reach high with hope, longing for a calm moment in the midst of pressing worry and hurry, longing for...
Sorry. We're going to pause for 1 second here because I literally have a spider crawling on the camera and I'm totally transfixed by it. And I think it actually crawled over the screen. That is an absolute riot. So for our viewers at home, that was Spider Cam. I guess that's what we're going to call that. It's on our website. Yes, yeah, the website. Okay, let's try this again. We gather together in this sacred space.
Anxious as our palm branches lay next to us, questioning if we are able to walk with Jesus through the week ahead, through anguish, accusations,
Despair and darkness. We gather together in this sacred space.
waving branches of prayer,
Walking toward Easter, our journey begins with these palms waved high. Why don't we rise up in body or spirit and really kick this service off with a rousing version of all glory, laud, and honor, and get those palms waving. And if you feel moved, come up and down the aisle and wave them. This unison prayer. Transport us to Jerusalem today, O Spirit, that we may immerse ourselves in the story of Jesus. Help us to hear his teaching, feel his healing, and follow his example. Let us meet Jesus in our hearts, that we may take Christ into our world today. Now we open our lives so that he may take us where we need to go, making Jesus the Christ real for us, not only in passion, but in the compassion of God's love for all. Amen. Please be seated. As our friend is still there, I was trying to hustle him along with my palm here. It's on the back of the camera now, but all are welcome here, right? All are welcome, so our friend is welcome as well. Just a quick ground rule before we get going. Go easy with your palms. No, kind of hitting your neighbor. I know it's tempting to have this in your hand, to kind of get a little crazy with it. But try to resist that if you can. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Faith United Church of Christ on this Palm Sunday morning, otherwise known as the Sunday of Masters Weekend. It's a high holy day for me, folks. There's Easter, and then there's the Masters, and I'm not sure which one. Special welcome to all visitors who are with us. First-time visitors, met a few of you today already. Return visitors, we are delighted to have you with us. And if you're online with us and you're visiting, we are also delighted to have you with us as well. And if you're here in the space, please sign our friendship book, which we keep on the table in the gathering space there, so we can get you on our newsletter list. And if you're with us online, just go ahead and send an email to office@faithucc.org, and we'll get you on that list. Also, if you're online with us as well, please share our service if you're on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, just go ahead and subscribe to our channel. That helps us out immensely with our online presence. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And you all can go home and share too. So just go home. I know you're going to watch the service again anyways, right? Hey, a couple of announcements. It's just good to be with you all today. It is a gorgeous day out there, isn't it? We should have moved this sucker outside and out in the beautiful weather today. Couple of announcements here. The Dunedin Cares PB&J Challenge is on. I think we had 156 pounds of food dropped off last week, which is great. We need to up that, though. We need to get over 200 each week with peanut butter and jelly. So go shopping today. When you're not watching the Masters, get out and go shopping. Get your BOGOs on. Look for your peanut butter and jelly, and let's stock those shelves. Like I said last week, we've got a reputation to uphold here because we won the Thanksgiving Challenge. So come on, folks. Let's join together and just clear Publix of all their peanut butter and jelly and bring it over to Dunedin Cares. Or no, drop it here and we'll get it over to Dunedin Cares. NCAA tourney results. They are in. I wish I had the sounder. I should have had the sounder up. And I'm happy to say that I'm very humble. I am the 2022 women's bracket winner for the NCAA tourney. Guru that I am on women's basketball, all NCAA basketball, really. And my wife won the men's version of it. I said, next time, can you answer the lottery prayer instead of the NCAA bracket prayer? So my wife has opted to put her winnings towards the music fund, Sunshine Music Fund, and I'm not sure on mine yet. I'm really going to mull this over, so I'll let you know next week where mine's going. But how exciting! Thanks, Ivan, for leading this, and thanks for everybody for being a part of it. It's a lot of fun. Holy Week today, obviously Palm Sunday. That means Thursday's coming up, and we have our Maundy Thursday service here, and we will have that service for the first time in 2 years, right here online and in person. So it'll start at 7 o'clock. So please come out on Maundy, Thursday, and kick off your journey to continue your journey to Easter, which we will then celebrate next Sunday, but again for the first time together in 2 years, together and online. That is so exciting. And then the 24th, we've got Purple Sunday coming up. Nan Dahlberg's going to lead Purple Sunday. I'll be here as well, but Nan wants to preach on Purple Sunday. So she is saying, wear purple on April. Celebrate the history and meaning of that wonderful, mysterious color that symbolizes magic, history, spirituality, the subconscious, creativity, dignity, and royalty. So if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what's going to. So we got some great services coming up. And a lot of you have been asking for a humor service. We are going to do a humor service. We need a humor service in this day, so we're going to try to plan something for May for a humor service where we just laugh. We laugh a lot here. But that's a service. where you leave here and you're sore because you're laughing so much. So we need that in this time. I want to invite up Michelle Friedman for a special announcement on our awesome gardens.
Mike said he needed a humor service, and here we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy Palm Sunday to everybody. Yes. I have to say, I've never celebrated Palm Sunday. I have no idea what to do with this thing. You know, when I first came in, I was like, what do you think, Mike? Yeah? So I'm very excited to be here celebrating with all of you Palm Sunday and Holy Week. For me, as many of you know, I'm a Jew, turned Boo Jew, and now possibly, and I worked on this, a Jabuchu. It wasn't Chibuchu, but then I decided, yeah. So if you need the spelling of that, send me a note. Historically, this time of year for me is the celebration of Passover, the time when God led the Jews out of Egypt who were enslaved for 400 years. You all know this story, right? You've seen the movie, The Ten Commandments. Charlton Heston stars as Moses years before he became president of the NRA, right? So maybe that was a bit of a foreshadowing, God and rifles was right there and we just didn't see it. Anyway, to commemorate this event each year, Jews have a Seder, which is a very long 3 to 4 hour dinner where we retell the story of the Exodus, recounting the miracles and the horrors. We discuss plagues, and every good Jew knows there's 10 of those. We eat bitter herbs, and of course, we eat lots of matzah. Matzah is unleavened bread. It's lovingly known within the community as the bread of affliction. And if you don't know what that means, think about how you might feel after living on communion wafers for a week. Okay. So by now, you're likely wondering, well, this is really pretty funny, but what does this have to do with the Faith Garden Project? Well, I'm actually wondering the same thing. Given more time, I probably could come up and make an interesting connection as to how God fed the Jews manna during the 40 years that they wandered in the desert and tie that into feeding the hungry. But I don't think we have time for that today. So, on to the Faith Garden Project. So, many of you are aware that back in November, we were asked by the First Presbyterian Church of Dunedin to help them in developing a fruit vegetable garden situated on their property. The plan was for us to sponsor and plant one raised garden box approximately 4 by 8 feet, the resulting produce of which would be donated to the local food banks. Fran Mitchell asked me if I would lead this initiative, and after visiting the church and talking with the folks at First Presbyterian, I agreed to do so. So 5 months later, I'd first like to say thank you, Fran, and this congregation for giving me this opportunity. It has truly been a wonderful experience on so many levels. 5 months ago, I stood here asking for volunteers to help in that garden, and I promised you that if you volunteered at the garden, you would help to build community, make new friends, feed the hungry, care for the earth, and of course, meet my parrot, Isaac. And I'm happy and very relieved to say I did not lie. The faith volunteers that have shown up to help with the garden have formed a real connection with each other and with our brethren from the First Presbyterian Church. Over the past months, we've built planting boxes, greenhouses, and benches. We've planted, weeded, harvested, mulched, composted, and organized. Faith UCC now sponsors 2.5 garden beds planted with broccoli, beans, tomatoes, greens, etc. But more importantly, our friends at First Presbyterian consider us a very integral part of their team, and they look to us when making decisions on that garden and what to do next. We have supplied a steady, hardworking, and enthusiastic team of volunteers. And as Brenda, the woman who runs that garden for First Presbyterian, says, God seems to keep providing all the right people at the right time. And she is so right. Our volunteers are truly the best there is. To date, the Faith Garden has produced and donated over 280 pounds of food to Dunedin Cares. And no jars. And we are told by the volunteers at Dunedin Cares that there is always a rush amongst its clients to take advantage of our locally grown organic vegetables. And maybe, just as importantly as all of this, it's really been a lot of fun. So come on, volunteers. I can't see who's up there, but we have Clark and Fran and Deb and Rod and Bruce, Anna Jane, Carl, Bob, Don, Pat, and if I'm missing anyone, I really forgive me. But it's the best group of volunteers ever, and it's really been a lot of fun. So additionally, something quite unexpected has also come from this endeavor. An offshoot is starting to take place where some of our garden volunteers are thinking about projects that we might undertake here at UCC that are environmentally sound, community-driven, and a way for us to be an inspiration to our neighbors. It's early stages, but I'm feeling very optimistic that some good stuff is coming our way. So I believe this undertaking by Faith UCC has been a resounding success. Now spring is here, and soon the Florida summer will be upon us. Garden production will begin to slow down. Only select vegetables will be growing during the hottest part of our summer, or possibly just flowers. This said, we are still in need of volunteers, anyone that feels that they've missed out, to finish up the remainder of the season and continue making new beds, weeding, mulching, and whatever else needs to get done. Volunteer days are now generally once a month on the last Friday of the month. The next one is April 29th, 9 o'clock. We'd love for people to join in the fun. There are some other sporadic times, but that's usually announced via text message. If anyone wants to be included on that text message, please email me or text me or talk to me after the service. I don't believe we have one of those sign-up sheets that Mike talks about all the time, but maybe we'll get one. But in closing, I want to again thank our volunteers and this congregation. Our volunteers for showing up and doing such a great job at the garden and building relationships with our First Presbyterian brethren. The congregation for giving me this opportunity to be part of such a fun and meaningful project. I look forward to continuing this endeavor and see where it takes us. Thank you all, and may you all have a wonderful Palm Sunday and Holy Week.
Thank you, Michelle. That was awesome. Yes, Barbara.
One other Holy Week
Yeah.
opportunity on Good Friday. The labyrinth will be in here.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful canvas labyrinth, and you have the opportunity to come in and walk, and hopefully we'll have some Gregorian chant
Yep.
music.
How did I leave off Good Friday?
12 to
12 to 3, yep. Yeah, Good Friday, we did it a couple years ago. We set a labyrinth up in here. We have kind of a portable big canvas one from the conference. And a good handful of you came to walk that. It's a great experience. We have candles going. There'll be some Gregorian chant and the Stations of the Cross imagery playing. So 12 to 3, the church will be open, or you can just come in for silent prayer. So how did I forget Good Friday? I don't know. And again, thank you, Michelle, for a great announcement. We have the best special announcements here, I think, don't we? We should just have special announcements Sunday. I think that'd be a really cool thing to have. Get Nan up here for a banned books announcement again, and yeah. Hey, I want to lift up some concerns here. In case you can forward me to the concerns page. Please hold Julie Del Giorno's brother Mark and his wife Bernadette and their kids in your prayers. Mark, we prayed for Mark before and held him in our hearts, and he has now been put on home hospice. 68 years old, and he's been suffering with cancer, brain lesions, and other health challenges. So Julie, we're with you today in this time, and I know you're going to get to go visit with him soon and spend time with him, and just lean on us as you need to. But let's pray for Mark and Bernadette and Julie and her family in this time. Also hold Lisa Popovich in your hearts of prayer. She is online with us. Her and Erica Miller. Lisa's been going through a lot, really over the last several years. It just keeps going, and now she's going to be put on what's called lifetime antibiotics, it looks like. There's talk of maybe surgery to deal with some infections, but she's been having a really tough go. So hold Lisa and Erica as she supports her in your hearts and prayers. And just know, Erica and Lisa, we're thinking about you in this space. And again, lean on us as you need to. We'll be here for you. Also continue to hold Suzette Hughes in your hearts and prayers. She's doing much better from what Ron has passed on to me. She had a full knee replacement surgery last week. Sounds like it was successful, if I can speak today, and she is doing well. So hold Suzette in your hearts and prayers into this time as well. Jim Peterson has been falling a lot as of late as his leg gives out, so hold Jim in your hearts and prayers. He's usually in the back there with us, and he really misses being here with us, so he sends his well wishes. He's going to see a doctor next week, so hopefully they can figure out why he's falling so he can get back with us. And then I have a concern for Kathy Doucette to hold her mom Rachel in prayer for healing as she fell and is badly bruised. So Kathy, I know your mom's been here many times with us, and just pass on our love and prayers to her when you see her today. And finally, Brian Smalley, Brian's son, as you remember from last week, was hospitalized, Stephen, with what they thought might have been well, it is a serious infection, but they thought much worse, that it could have been very late stage cancer or worse. The infections were there, but it turns out the good news is the cancer is minimal and the prognosis is very good, right, Brian, for good treatment. It's going to be having those infections taken care of over the next, 4 to 5 weeks, and then they'll know which course of treatment, but it sounds like for Stephen it's a treatable course. So pass on our love to him. I know you're going to get to go see him after Easter, and just maybe take a prayer shawl to him and let him know we're thinking about him. And absolutely, and the same for Mark, maybe don't take a prayer shawl. We do have prayer shawls here, so if anyone ever wants a prayer shawl or knows someone in need of one, maybe we'll get back to doing a blessing on those, and because they're really powerful for people to have in difficult times. We have a joy, shift to a joy, and then we're going to get deeper into this service. Carol Kriebel tells me that Willard Kriebel, who's in the back there, celebrates his 85th birthday on April 14th. They spent last week in Pennsylvania with their family to celebrate with them after a 2-year absence. So, Willard, happy 85th. I think that we need a song, don't we? For all of you with birthdays, happy birthday. Willard, 85.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Willard. Happy birthday to you.
85 is a big deal. A lot of words. Just want to invite you for a moment to close your eyes. Imagine that we are in Jerusalem. It is a warm day with a rustling breeze, and dust being kicked up by the winds. We see a man on a donkey. And we think, what's going on here? Do we know with this act, the world is about to change? It is Palm Sunday. Take a few breaths. And breathe in a sense of peace and exhale some of the anxiety. I know we're all carrying so much anxiety. I want to share a video from the Work of the People now that I think encapsulates for our centering time just what this day, Palm Sunday, is all about. It's about a great reversal.
Look up, love. Take your eyes off the ground. Show your face. A new day is here. The light is rising over you, shining brightly, moving shadows, touching your face. You are brilliant with it. Darkness may come and go, but the glory of our Creator is a constant companion, a steady light, Many will see you struggle to live. Your choice to stand up and walk in the light and be changed. Have the courage to truly see not only the problems, but the one who remains with you holding the light. We are all coming together. Family, neighbor, and exiles, taking our seats at the table. We are learning. We are healing. So, take the gift of this day you are given. Let the light enlighten you, emanate from within you, become you, be you. Power is shifting, and it won't look like what we think when love reigns. Cities riddled with the wreckage of war and marked by the scars of empire will exchange the sounds of violence and ruin for the clamor of co-creation and communion. Through the power of God, the oppressed and those stripped of their land are allowed to share in power. We all will weigh in. Life will grow from the most unexpected places. The smallest and least will be welcomed into the center, and their perspective will matter. Not only will violence cease, we won't want to hurt one another, but cooperate for the goodness of all. The whole nature of creation will change. The sun and moon will not be the light we revolve around. We will turn and grow by the light of God that shows us the illumined way to go. We will be ruled by the power of love. We will be remade and refastened to God and one another. We will learn what harmony means. Look up, love. Take your eyes off the ground. Show your face. A new day is here. The light is rising over you, shining brightly, moving shadows, touching your face. You are brilliant with it. Everything wrong side up is being upended. The table is extending, rounding. You have a place that is only yours. And everyone at this table will have more than enough. So, stand up, open up, take it all in, and shine.
songs of praise exalt the King of Kings. Come sing Hosanna, Hosanna to the King.
Our scripture reading today is from Luke 19, verses 28 to 40. After he had said this, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. When he had come near Bethphage and Bethany, at the place called Mount of Olives, he sent 2 of the disciples, saying, "Go into the village ahead of you, and as you enter, you will find tied there a colt that has never been ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you untying it?' just say this, 'The Lord needs it.'" So those who were sent departed and found it as he had told them. As they were untying the colt, its owner asked them, "Why are you untying the colt?" They said, "The Lord needs it." Then they brought it to Jesus, and after throwing their cloaks on the colt, they set Jesus on it. As he rode along, people kept spreading their cloaks on the road. As he was now approaching the path down from the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples began to praise God joyfully with a loud voice for all the deeds of power that they had seen, saying, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest heaven." Some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." He answered, "I tell you, if these were silent, the stones would shout out. Thanks for this reading.
Never struck me before. Maybe a modern equivalent would be someone goes over and tries to get the keys to someone's Tesla. And they say, "What do you mean?" And you say, "Well, the Lord needs it." I'm going to try that later today and see how that works. The Lord needs it. You'll get it later, trust me. So I was having a conversation the other day on the phone with a friend of mine in Minnesota, that lives in Colorado. And we're talking, of course, about actually we're talking about the Tony Hawk skateboarding documentary first. But then it led us to all of the unfolding noise in these crazy times that is before us. And at some point in the conversation, my friend asked me how I seem to keep so calm and keep laughing and don't seem to be fazed by all the terrible news that is all around us, whether it's devastation in Ukraine, or the threat of literal nuclear war, or even the erosion of democracy and the rise of a new Taliban right here, Taliban right, closer to home, right here in the U.S. And I acknowledge that yes, no, I indeed find a way to laugh a lot, and maybe even more so in the difficult times. I do indeed find a way to laugh a lot, but I told my friend I'm definitely also faced by all of the seemingly unending scary noise that just keeps coming at us. Doesn't it feel like that? Just keeps bombarding us with moments of fear and anxiety. I said, I have that same feeling, Scott, just like you do. But I also told him I hang on with dear life to a phrase that was written by one of my favorite spiritual authors, Frederick Buechner. It really sums up life in the good times and then the not so good times for me. It brings me a sense of balance and peace in all times. And I've shared this phrase in sermons. I've shared it in writings. I've shared it on memes on Facebook. You've probably seen it, but I can never escape it. And I keep it really close because I don't believe you can hear it too often. Does anybody know the phrase? Well, that's part of it. Here's the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. Here's the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. They will happen. They're going to happen. Don't be afraid. If you're interested, that comes from one of his books called Beyond Words, a wonderfully clever book by a truly wonderfully clever author. That book can center you in these dangerous, terrible, scary times. Anyway, I explained to my friend I keep the phrase handy because it centers me in a sense of peace. When the world or my life seems to be spiraling out of control, it reminds me that even when the world is experiencing something terrible, when terrible things are occurring all around us, like now, that beauty is still the flip side of the coin, always around the corner, always waiting to emerge like the spring we're going into, always ready to push the terrible times out of the way. And I explained how it's the end of that powerful phrase, that where peace really comes from, in those three simple words. We say them all the time here, but we need to hear them again and again. Don't be afraid. Say it with me. Don't be afraid. Say it again. Don't be afraid. So if we can hold in tension the reality that yes, God dang it, terrible things are going to happen, yet beautiful things will counter them, that they are both a part of the reality of our lives, then a certain kind of courage can emerge and can allow us to live the terrible times with more confidence that we will get through those times and that we can weather the storms of life and that we can persevere even amidst the painful things that we are watching, God, on our screens, or maybe enduring in our own lives. And the courage born from those terrible times can then carry us far into the future and change everything about how we see the world and leave us with a more robust sense of our courage when we have to tackle those terrible times again, which will come, right? What's the biggest mantra of Buddhism? Suffering exists. There is suffering in the world. There's suffering in our lives, but it's how you deal with it that matters. So if we can live with be not afraid mindsets, we can find more peace and centering. If we can find more peace and centering, even in the hardest of times, we can live with a trust that is greater than anything that can harm us. Be not afraid. You can do this. You can get through whatever it is that's keeping you from wholeness. Keep that as your living mantra, and you will reemerge even stronger from the hardest of times, and the beautiful will seem even more so. That is what I told my friend. And he hung up on me. Or he was snoring, one of the two, I can't remember. No, I think I converted him. I do. And the Tony Hawk documentary was pretty dang good too. Today is a perfect day for our mantra, be not afraid. Because today in the Palm Sunday story, it is on full display in the form of a man who must have been grounded fully in that mantra to do what he did in riding through those gates into the city of Jerusalem. You see, in this story, Jesus didn't just ride into Jerusalem to go and have a good time, to go celebrate Passover with the hundreds of thousands of other Jewish sisters and brothers that were there. He could have walked in quietly, like everybody else did. He could have kept under the radar, keeping himself from the watchful eyes of the Roman guards that would have been stationed all over to keep the peace in the energy and fervor of a Passover celebration, which was not an easy thing to do. You see, Jerusalem was a powder keg during times like this, especially during Passover. It would only take one spark to set the entire city ablaze in violence. It happened before, and they knew it would probably happen again. And that is the reason that Pilate Pontius Pilate, who detested Jerusalem. He loathed going to Jerusalem. He had to be there each year during the celebration, and he hated it. He really was not a good man. So he would march in with force to make a point, with legions of glimmering armored soldiers and bearing long spears and sharp swords and marching thunderously in unison, armored with war horses, galloping in, stallions kicking up the dust, intimidation all over the place, drum beats and war shattering any sense of peace that might have been in the air. He came in with this. He wanted to make a point. If you get out of line, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. This army, these legions are going to take care of you. Don't step out of line. But our guy Jesus just can't help himself. He knows the prophecy well from the ancient books that a new David, a new king, a vanquisher of the enemies, will ride into Jerusalem on a donkey. And people will shout, Hosanna, and they'll lay these leafy branches as a sort of kind of red carpet for his entrance. And he knows the scriptures well. And then in our story tells us he did just that. He did just that. He entered the powder keg with conviction in his eyes and with his mantra of be not afraid, a full part of his being. He entered those gates. He stormed through those gates, and he made a statement about just who he was and what he was doing, that a new Lord is in town, and life would never be the same. God was doing a new thing. And of course, life would never truly be the same, for on this day we celebrate, as Palm Sunday, Jesus put into motion a path that will lead him ultimately to his execution as a seditionist and a criminal. And then there'll be a time of mourning his death. But then there's a time in the belief in something so beautiful that we celebrate next week on Easter. Time has changed forever. It started on Palm Sunday with a man and a mantra. It started with 3 simple words: be not afraid. The mantra that no doubt catapulted Jesus toward everything he did. Everything he did. And you might want to ask, hey, Mike, how are you so confident that Jesus lived that simple mantra? And the reason is really simple to explain. I didn't talk to him to get any of this. That's not possible. My theology, anyway. Others might talk to him on a regular basis. I don't know. But for starters, the phrase occurs over and over again. You've heard me say this in the scriptures that would have framed Jesus' life, that he would have known very well. There are hundreds of uses of this phrase. Did you find that really interesting? Hundreds of uses of this phrase in the Bible. For instance, God tells Abraham in a time of crisis to not be afraid. God tells Hagar, as she's dying for thirst with her son in the wilderness, God tells Hagar to not be afraid. Moses tells the people as they're journeying to the promised land on several occasions not to be afraid. The phrase occurs over and over in the Psalms and the writings of the prophets, Proverbs, and in so many more places. And then fast forward to Jesus' life and times, and what do we hear more than anything else? Our mantra, don't be afraid. For instance, again, an angel tells Joseph in a dream to not be afraid. An angel comes upon Mary upon delivering news. We just heard those stories at Christmas, that she's going to be pregnant, much to her surprise. Says, don't be afraid. Appears to scares frightened shepherds half to death in the fields. Breaking in on them saying, don't be afraid. They should answer, don't quit scaring me then. Jeez. Wouldn't have to if you didn't burst in on me with a ray of light. Jesus tells people time and again to not be afraid about their lives, about what they eat, or about what they wear. He tells people to not be afraid when they choose to follow him, or upon healing them, or when they have a daughter who has died, as in the case of Jairus that Neil talked about last week. Remember that scene from that scripture? Jairus, a synagogue official, begged Jesus to come and heal his sick little girl, so Jesus starts following him, but the crowds are so large around him that he's just kind of swept up and he gets slowed down. Then some messengers of Jairus come running up and they say, it's too late. It's too late, Jairus. Your daughter has died. Oh, as a father of 2 daughters, that just hit me. Just crushed me. And then they say, why bother? As Neil said last week, why bother Jesus any longer? Let's go. But then we were told Jesus ignores them and he stares straight at Jairus, looking him in the eyes, eye to eye. He says to this grieving father, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. For your daughter is fine. Only believe. Don't be afraid. Just believe. Trust. So Jesus lived these 3 simple words to their fullest. He believed in their power to overcome anything, even the death of a little girl who sprang back to life. He took those words on this day that we call Palm Sunday. He got on a donkey and he faced the full force of the most powerful empire the world had ever known to that point. One man, one mantra, be not afraid, changed the course of history to this very day. And that's what we celebrate on Palm Sunday and into the world-altering events and experiences that will unfold in the coming week, known as Holy Week. Speaking of our mantra, last Monday, remember, marked the somber anniversary of the death of a man who, like Jesus, lived the mantra, be not afraid, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., shot on April 4th. So I have a practice on that day every year of listening to some of King's speeches as part of that somber day to remind myself how much this prophet truly changed the world. So I pulled up his I've been to a mountaintop speech. I was struck more than I ever have been this year by his closing words, where he said in what would eerily be his last public words, he said, like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I want to do God's will. And so I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. My eyes have seen the coming of the glory of the Lord. It struck me. That is Palm Sunday. That is Palm Sunday. Like Buechner's famous line, "It inspires me and centers me," King held to the beauty of the world, what the world can be, even through the terrible abyss of the racism, the evils that he was fighting, the viciousness of the times. Jesus did the same as he marched through those gates with a vision of a different kind of world that was not so terrible for so many people. And here we are, gathered amidst our own terrible, scary times that literally, for the first time in my life, at the doorstep of a potential actual nuclear war. Do you believe that? Seriously. Or with incredible seething anger and rage and division among us. It's crazy out there. Not to mention the climate changing. It dawned on me, I've been here 10 years and nothing's happened with climate change in that entire time. Hardly anything. I think we've gone backwards. So we have all of this just eating at us, right? It's just gnawing at our nerves. It's fraying our minds. And I think I speak for many here, right? And not to mention that maybe the terrible many things that are happening closer to home, maybe with our health or our families, in the midst of our loved ones and who are hurting. So much pain right now. But like Jesus on Palm Sunday, like King on the mountaintop, we too must wade through these terrible times with confidence that there is beauty. You got to trust it. There's beauty on the other side. We must live with the confidence of our scriptures that living in fear and anxiety is the opposite of what God has in mind for us. That's not how we are to live. We must not be afraid. Vigilant, yes. Tuned in, yes. Hopeful, absolutely, but not in fear. So Palm Sunday is a great day to remind ourselves of that. For it's the beginning of a journey into darkness that will end in the light of new and transformed life. The terrible will not win during this Holy Week. Easter and beauty will. And the terrible will not win in our time either. Stay confident of that. Peace, joy, and new life will. We've got to hang on to that with fire in our bones that that is true. So stay confident in that, my friends, for that is surely the overarching promise of our scriptures, the life of the one we follow to Jerusalem this week, and the totality of the God experience. It gets messy sometimes, doesn't it? But here's the world. Here's the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I wish you a blessed and peace-filled and courage-filled and confidence-filled Holy Week as we journey to the greatest day of the year together and celebrate on Easter. New life, transformed life, a time when be not afraid will never have to be uttered again. It's possible. It's real. Here's the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. Amen.
Crowds have lined
Well, let us try to quiet our minds in this moment and still ourselves and journey together into a time of inner reflection and prayer on this Palm Sunday. Let's create a moment of silence and stillness together. Holy One, as we pray this day, we do so in a spirit of thanks for this new day, for your presence within it and your call to live it deeply, to drink from it deeply, to bask in the gift that it truly is. We have so much to be thankful for this day, O God. We stand in gratitude for all that blesses our lives and for this time together, for this community. And not only in gratitude do we join our hearts and spirits in this time, but also because we yearn for wholeness in our own lives and in the lives of those that we know and love. And so we lift these yearnings into the great mystery of your presence, prayers for healing, for your presence in the midst of grief, for safety and stability, for direction, maybe for patience or clarity. So much more that we hold. And may all the prayers we hold for ourselves and for those we're concerned about and the world find their way into your being. Of course, we also pray for all the people that we share this world with on this Palm Sunday, hoping for, as Jesus did long ago, the fullness of life and joy for all people. And we lift Ukraine in our hearts and all places where there is terrible war. May we study war no more, O God. And we lift immigrants and refugees and farm worker migrants, and may all find an abundance of sustenance and shelter, a welcoming of the stranger. We lift those who are discriminated against for their race or for their gender or sexual orientation, and may all stories be told openly with joy, not hidden away. Holy One, we lift our Palm Sunday hopes anew, and we ask for Palm Sunday courage. We may continue to speak words of love and peace and equity and togetherness, the same words that Jesus was silenced for long ago. May we be bold prophets for hope. Finally, offer us your presence and peace this week, O God, as we symbolically relive the story of the last days of Jesus and stand between betrayal and death and the transformed life of Easter that we will celebrate next week. And may this be a holy week for us. May its meaning shine within us, not just one week, but every week of the year. We'll join our voices now and pray that prayer, an interpretation of that ancient prayer that Jesus grew to teach us before he was silenced. The words are on the screen. Will you join me? Loving Creator, we honor you, and we honor all that you heal us from the hurts of the past. Give us courage to follow your call in this moment. power, the only home, the only honor we need in this world and in the world to come. Amen. We are entering into Holy Week, the holiest week of the year, as we stand between Jesus. We're going to leave him today praying in the garden, and his death on Friday, symbolically, and new life, transformation of new life that we'll celebrate next week on Easter. We have one more candle to burn, or to extinguish on this final Lenten Sunday. And then there is only going to be one candle still burning, the Christ candle, our big tower candle right in the middle, that will be extinguished on Maundy, Thursday here at a service at 7 p.m. And we'll then relight that candle next Sunday on Easter. It's a deep week, it really is. This is a week to really just spend some time in prayer. Think about the story. Think of what Jesus, whether we go by the scriptures or what we know of him historically, what he gave to this world with his challenge to the powers that be, with his challenge to empire. This is a week that we live that fully, and as you're seeing what's unfolding in Ukraine, think of just how damaging empires can be. And Jesus rose up to speak about that, and he was silenced, but he speaks on in places like this. It's a good week to remember that. Jeff, will you do us the honor? Thank you. Will you join me in this kind of confessional prayer as we start our journey into Holy Week? Holy One, there are so many choices before us every day. Choices offered by our friends, our families, our culture, our own past. Some of them encourage the well-being of the earth, ourselves and our neighbors, and call us into the world in love. Others are destructive. Help us to distinguish between them. May we learn the choices of Jesus and embody compassion, justice, and inclusion in all we say and do. And may you still us this week and help us to reflect on the life, death, and call of Jesus as we walk this journey again with him. We have entered the holiest of weeks. May we experience its meaning to the fullest. Amen. Let's just join our voices in one verse of a beautiful song to kind of ease us into this week. What wondrous love is this? Then Jesus went to a place called Gethsemane. He said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." With that, we'll pick up the story on Maundy, Thursday. I hope you can join us at 7 p.m. I want to say thank you for being here today with us, whether you're online or in person. It's a delight to celebrate Palm Sunday and ease our way into Holy Week with all of you. I always want to say thank you for your incredible generosity, whether it be in your time, your treasure, your talent. You're investing in this place so that we can be that place that flies that flag out there for people to walk by and see and know that, oh, there's a place of love and inclusion in the world. They do exist, you know, and we remind people of that. So thank you for your incredible generosity on all you give. And I want to thank you, Don Miller, for the palms. You cut down so many of these palms, and Martin as well cut some palms, so thank you. And I hope you'll take your palm with you this week. I burn some remainders for, I really do this, I burn them for Ash Wednesday. So I keep some of them here, but please do take a palm. Put it somewhere in your house as a reminder of the sacrifice that Jesus made in trying to make this world a better place, or Martin Luther King Jr. made, or other prophets of ours have made. Take it with you and keep that as a reminder. And thank you again for all you give to this place. If you would like to make a further love offering, you're like, I was so inspired, I'm going to put $100 somewhere. Well, we have plates back there. And you can do it there. If you're online with us, you can go to our website and make a donation via PayPal or Vanco. Something we often do is flowers. We learned our lesson one time. We did a lily drive for Easter, and it was so pungent in here. People were sneezing, wheezing. We had like 50 lilies up here. I was like, oh my God, the perfume those things put off. So we're not going to do that this year. We will have some flowers, but if you were like, I really wanted to make a donation for a flower in honor of a loved one, here's an idea. You can make a donation in honor of Ukraine, and we will get that money maybe to the World Central Kitchen or something like that that's doing some work. So if you do want to do that, make sure you put it in an envelope and mark Easter flowers or Ukraine on it. And instead of buying a whole bunch of flowers, or we're just going to get rid of after Easter, we can put some money towards Ukraine. So if you'd like to do that, please mark that it is just for that. Well, before we journey into Holy Week, we have one more thing we got to do, right? We got to sing our way out of here for peace. I wish you a blessed Holy Week. Join us Thursday at 7. Join us Friday from 12 to 3 for prayer or to walk the labyrinth. And of course, we'll see you next week on Easter. We're going to have a little celebration afterwards. We're going to have an Easter egg hunt for the kids. So come on and make it a good weekend. Experience it to the fullest. Let's rise up in body or spirit. Sing our way out of here. We're peace. Love one another, serve our God. Amen. I say serve our God. What does that mean? It just sounds good, What does that mean, our God? It sounds really old paradigm. My spider still here? Good stuff, everybody. Good music. Great music today.